and thank you for calling the Auto Glass Helpline. Today we are replacing a windshield on a 2025 Mercedes GLC300. So, relatively new vehicle, but a lot of the same old Mercedes fare. So, this is going to be a full replacement for those of you that are into the shorter videos, so just a heads up there. And let's get started. The only thing you missed out on this one is my initial inspection of the glass, because we actually picked up the glass from the dealership here. This is one of their courtesy vehicles, so we were replacing this with OE glass. And always check it, make sure there's no cracks, chips, clamshells, anything, because even as padded as these things are, when they come to Mercedes, they can still most certainly have damage. We have had that happen a few times. So, these dealer vehicles are one of the few exceptions to cleaning all the windows, because they detail these things, especially their courtesy vehicles, once they are done. So pop the hood, I'm gonna reach under and find that little red tab right there, since we're standing there. And let's get our Pro 6 set up. Following my method. If you are using my method, you will need an extra cup when ordering this device, because at the moment it only comes with a single cup for this side and a setting bar. So that, head over to the vehicle and hook at the top of the glass, and then screw here at the top of the pillar, top of this bar right about here. Make sure that stays up there. Gonna be right about there, and anchor this cup back over to our new glass, and same game. We're going to put the hook at the top, thumb at the base of the bar, 90 degrees. You want this bar to be as perpendicular to the edge of the glass as possible. Does not need to be perfection, so there's no need to break out the triangles and squares to make sure that you are there perfectly. A lot of people pull this strip out after they set the glass. I pull it out before because I don't like fighting with it once it's in the vehicle. To each their own. I am one of those people that don't like to mess with it once it's already set. So, give that a flip. And even though this just came out of the package, you can see a little bit of contaminants there, right here where I grabbed it earlier when I was flipping it. So even if you think you didn't touch it, there's always the possibility that you did. So make sure you clean your bonding area. I'm going to spray that. That one's actually relatively clean. And there's my fingerprints all the way around here. Give it a scrub real quick. Always make sure you clean your bonding area, regardless of whether it comes OEM or not, because you never know whose hands have touched this. And again, even if they seem like they're clean, even if they look like they're clean, there are contaminants that show up, especially on some of the newer glass that's coming out that's all raw edge. You don't typically see it, but there is a line that comes in about 1/8 of an inch or so right along the edge of the glass, and you can see where they've used that mold release, and that stuff is actually kind of a pain to get off. So always make sure you clean that bonding area well beforehand. And you can see all that frit that we scrubbed off of there. Give the inside of this a quick wipe down. sure you are good and dry. And this is going to sit for a few minutes, so we're not too worried about it being wet when we're done. To grab our ratchet and our 16 mm socket, head over to the vehicle and start taking things apart here. There it is. Going to lift that guy off of there. That one's pretty easy. Just pull off the side up here and then give that a tug. That will come off. And these are your typical Mercedes wiper nut covers here. Those will go in the pocket so they don't get disappeared. And go ahead and remove these wiper nuts. Give that a little press, a little pull, and release that. Pop that one loose and that one loose. And sadly, because my arms aren't long enough, I gotta switch sides to remove this other one. Not all of us were born like Shaq. And gonna give this a lift. Give it a press. Pop that loose. And pop that loose. Give that a little wiggle. And see what we have under here. Just our little twist locks, looks like. In there. There we go. Looks like they parked that under an oak tree. Set that aside there. And looks like this one's just got twist locks on it as well. So, going to remove these side moldings. You're simply going to hold the pillar, grab a hold of this, pull towards yourself and up at the same time. You can see that pops loose. Be careful because oftentimes up here at the top, you can see this has a blade that drops underneath that roof rail. So we'll pull that up, push that down, and it releases that. And go over here to the other side and do the same thing. You're going to grab the pillar, pull towards yourself and up like so, all the way up, and then slide this down and it releases that blade and it releases this guy like so. And dig into the leaves here, find our other two little twist locks, and then you can lift this out like so. This one's got a twist lock over here as well. This one's all one piece. And give this corner here a lift and pop that loose. Again, if you're going to slide your hands underneath these ribs and retainers, make sure you have gloves on because they can be sharp. And what is holding that guy in place looks like just a little blade retainer. So we're going to go under here with our little TRT, give that a twist like so, and yep, just pop that little blade loose there and set this guy back there where it won't get stepped on. And then that is loose. Come back over here. We're going to give this corner a lift. And you can see Mercedes lifts out nice and easy. Slide your hand under there. And then lift this guy out and off. And again, we'll set that aside where it won't get stepped on. That is our cowling. And I'm gonna jump inside here now. And looks like we're gonna need maybe one more thing. Grab our little WRD curved hook tool here in case we need it. And drop it inside. And this looks like pretty typical Mercedes fare. I'm gonna pull this front edge down so we can see this guy. And where are you hiding? Looks like it might be right there. Yep. Oh. These ones are hard to see. But again, with the Mercedes, we're looking for these guys here and looking to drop the tip of our hook into here. And we are simply giving this a press to release this little ledge right here. And the rest of this we're going to just pull straight down. And here, let's do this. We're going to put this together and give you a little visual here. So you pull this front edge down, and while you're tugging on this, you're simply going to push this in until it releases. And then the same thing over here. Once you're holding it down, you push that in until it releases. Sometimes they're a little more stubborn than others. There we go. So again, just going to give that a push and give that one a push while you're giving it a little bit of tension down, and that releases and lets that go. So set this guy aside in the back seat. Looks like the mirror can stay where it wants, or where it is. Does not have the camera there. Going to remove our lane departure camera, and those guys, oh, looks like we're going to get it out of there. We'll pull that out and give this a slide back like so. And we're going to disconnect this camera because I don't like leaving the weight of these hanging on here. Set that in the back seat as well. And then looks like we just have our defroster plug here and our rain sensor. Unplug both of those. Hook that little wire out of the way, and we're going to pull our wires down and around in front of the mirror. And then for our rain sensor, we're going to use our ever-present screwdriver. It's going to give that a little push, and then underneath that edge there, pop that loose, and then same thing on the other side. Give that some even pressure, pulling on the top edge up here. And give that a tug. And we came off nice and clean. Don't have to replace the rain sensor pad, which will save us a little bit of time. Go over here. I'm going to pop that guy off of there, and we'll put our rain sensor in where it stays nice and clean. Another thing, guys, make sure you leave these covers on or the tape on while you're spraying and cleaning, because you don't want to get anything underneath this camera shroud. This one we can see is removable, so if we had to, we could take that off, clean underneath it. But a lot of them, like the Hondas, are not removable, so if you get anything underneath there, it's really hard to clean out. You can use a Q-tip and cleaner, but there's always a chance that you're going to leave a residue underneath there. Also, especially with the Hondas, make sure you check in the light underneath there because I have had where they have had etching primer that they have gotten inside that area, and that will not clean out. So it's a bad glass, it will not recal. So if you see that etching primer inside that viewport for the camera, send it back. We are good with all of that, and let's grab our bat and cut out our glass. Got our threader, our drag, our dash covers, and our bat. And if you use a drill, grab your drill. If you use a hand crank, by all means, grab that. Alright, set all this stuff aside. The pump is coming soon, guys. This guy, so the pump is available on the website. This body is what is the holdup, because these aluminum bodies are expensive to produce. We are trying to find a more cost-effective form of body for you guys and for us, and having a hard time finding it. So, but it is coming soon. We do have stuff that is utilizing that. So throw some gloves on here. And let's push our line through. And since these go over pretty far, we're actually going to flip this. And we're going to try to go underneath this retainer. Like so. If you haven't seen my threader video, I have a little bend here, and if I need to go under a retainer, I'll put it in this way so it holds tight to the body. If I'm trying to hold it tight to the glass, I just flip it up this way, and that holds it tight to the glass. Pretty straightforward and simple. Mercedes usually doesn't have an issue with their pinch welds, so it's not really a problem when it comes to these. We've got our lines crossed here. Make sure we're going the right direction. Lay our line under the glass, under the retainer. Make sure you are under these corners. This one looks like it's pretty tight to that body weld. Make sure you get underneath that seam sealer and it doesn't get you stuck in between the layers of glass. And coming up and around here, again, make sure you are clear of any body clips, because this system, or many string systems, really do not care about body clips being metal or plastic, so make sure you don't drop your line in one of those. Across the top here, down, open our door here, and then again we're going to make sure we are under that corner. And then draw up our slack here, like so. Get the guards in place and cut out a windshield. Again, make sure you are free and clear of any of your steering controls before you start winding this thing up. Slow in that corner because that was pretty tight. We are running this one a little slower up the sides because it looked like it was decked down pretty far. So You do not want to break and shatter the glass because that just causes more problems. Switching sides, and just like on that side, we're going to go a little farther than center. I'm going to go a little closer to the pillar on this side. Get our pump running. Make sure we are above our headliner and clear of all of our wiring, which looks like we are. Drop that little bit of slack. Make sure our shields are in place. And we are going to finish the top first. Finish across the bottom. All right. I think we found the seam, and that's nice and tight. Let's see if we can get through here without breaking our line. And we came through that corner fast and wound up shattering the glass right there where it's down tight to the body. And slow down as we come up this side here. And we are clear. And we managed not to break our line on broken glass, which is fortunate and definitely lucky. You can see right there where it got down tight to the body and blew up. So put all this away. Lift out this old piece of glass, and when you're lifting out glass, guys, make sure you make it as vertical as possible before you lift this out, because if it is split down the center and you go to pick this guy up, you can fold it in half, damage the dashboard, damage the paint, damage the hood. All damage that's easily avoidable and that I'm sure you do not want to have to pay for. So, grab our tools and our trimming. Grab a clean rag. And jump up here. We don't need that molding anymore. So use our little paintbrush here to kind of clean this pollen and stuff out of the way. Pinch weld's actually pretty clean, which is nice. And then always make note too, Mercedes, older Saturns were notorious for this. The bead is actually lower than the top edge of the glass, so make sure when you're shooting you are paying attention to that glue map on your glass, or shoot the body, one of the two. So I'm just going to clean this off before we trim, because we don't want to add any contaminants to that new layer of urethane. So get this all wiped out. So this one was actually pretty clean. It's a courtesy vehicle, so they tend to keep them pretty clean. And give this a trim. And it's starting to feel like it's time to sharpen the blades. Get this trimmed up here. Careful you don't slip and damage the body. Don't want to dig too deep into that seam sealer either. Going to switch to a narrower blade going down the side here so we don't get hung up on our body clips or on our pillar cover here. You can see we had a little bit of a bonding issue here at the seam sealer, so we'll make sure we definitely put some primer on that. Make sure you don't cut off that guy there. Trim that foam off of there because that's going to be new. You can put some new foam blocks on that. Try not to trim your VIN sticker away. Make sure you got some nice clean urethane there. Move that over. Not too bad. Yourself?
Hey, did you work on, there was a Porsche or something, or broken windows?
Worked on a lot of cars.
I know, but here, like today or yesterday?
Not today or yesterday, no.
Gideon tried to straighten out the leather dash and broke the windshield.
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't me.
No, those that used it, some guy said he could fix it, which can't be done. He tried to do it.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. Right, give this a spray before we give it a trim. Quick wipe down here. Finish our trim across the bottom here real quick. Trim away that foam rubber. That cleaned away. And you can see peeled the clear coat right off the top of that. Put that guy back. And finish this. We're going to trim this little bulb off of here too. And using the narrower blade again so we don't dig into or even risk digging into our pillar cover. Cleaned up. And put all of our tools back in here, and we are good to primer. Some people like to have their trash can right by the car. I do that sometimes, just depends on the vehicle and how far I have to walk. That guy, put that back. This one goes up here because that is a random dirty wet rag. Okay, grab our primer stick here, last one in that bag. And we are going to give our windshield a quick coat. Make sure you wet the tip on this before you start dragging it across your glass. This one goes just above the dotted line, wraps and then runs the edge, like so. You know, this one runs right along the bottom here. The side and around that corner. This one runs pretty close to that, so we'll go ahead and fill in these little gaps here. And make sure we are all primered up over here. When you're primering, make sure you do not primer over urethane. We're just trying to cover any of the spots that we need to, anywhere where we've lost the clear coat, anywhere where we've cut into the seam sealer. We gotta get that guy off of there too. Come on, this thing's definitely stick. Get that most of that foam off of there. Nothing along the bottom. Put a little bit right there where they do their overlap, because we do not side by side our bead. At least I do not side by side my bead. Some gaps in it right there. A little scratch right there. Get rid of that foam on there. A little thin right there, so we'll touch up that spot. And let that set. And since we got a 2-minute window, if you're so inclined, this is about the time I usually clean the windows on the rest of the vehicle. I'm waiting for primer if I don't do it first thing. So we'll go ahead and clean these since we're waiting for primer. Clean windows is a cheap and easy way to make a very happy customer. There's a lot of companies out there that don't do this, and a lot of customers that have used those companies to replace glass. And if you clean all of their glass, even though you only replaced one, you have a happy customer who will come back and use you again. And it only took you a minute or so to make that customer happy. So if there's one simple thing I can recommend to everybody out there, if you want to keep your customers and have them come back, clean all their glass. The only time I don't clean glass all the way around is when it is 110 degrees outside and the car has been baking in the sun, because it doesn't matter what you spray on it and how fast you are, it's going to streak. So in those cases, typically what I will do is I will clean both mirrors and the driver and passenger side window at least. Can do at least that much, and then, you know, if you feel so inclined, explain to the customer that, you know, I usually clean all the glass, but as hot as it is out here, there's no way I can do it without streaking them. So let's put some glue on glass and set a windshield. I got a full tube in here from earlier. blow out the end. I'm going to remove these guys right now so I don't have to stick my fingers in urethane. And find our spot. Finish off a bead. And I know we've got our blocks down there to lock this in, but we are still going to throw some tape on this for our initial set, and that way we can make sure we have the glass where we want it before we deck the bottom down all the way and lock it in place with those decking blocks there. Make sure all of our cups are good and anchored. It doesn't matter how much your windshield weighs, you should always check them first before you lift the glass or hang the glass on the setting arm. Put that there. Give this a lift. And watch your top side. Drop the bottom in place. And tape in there. And the other side. Once again, watch our top here. Clear of everything down here. Make sure you got your same gap as before. Check your reveals before you anchor everything down. Looks like we can come this way a bit, about like so. That looks good. Check your reveal on top, make sure you match all the way across. And you can anchor your bottom here with those decking blocks. And that should be locked in place. Make sure you got your center down. Put that there. And reassemble our interior here. So pull our plugs around, plug in our rain sensor, our defroster up here in the top, and then make sure now you pull that off. Now that we're done spraying, we're out of the dust and dirt. Grab our camera here and get our plugs plugged in. Make sure everything is aligned properly so we don't bend any pins. And that up there. Make sure you get the pin in down here and send it home. Leave that all up there. And then we can put everything else back up here. This one simply goes up and snaps in place. I will say this for Mercedes, their assembly process for these is a whole lot easier, and I wish Volvo was just as easy. So this one, you're going to take your little arms here, make sure those dive in right at the base, like so, and then just snap that in like so. Just your mirror. Interior is done. Grab our cups, get those out of the way. Deal with that after we get everything put back together. Alright. Get our cowling back in place. Left side first. I'll try to knock some of this garbage out of here. And turn that there. Make sure we get these pushed on without knocking out those little rings. Lock that guy down there. Snap that in nice and easy. And this guy's all cleaned off. We can drop this one in place. Going in underneath there, pull the rubber out of the way here. And that. Locked down. Come on. What's holding you up here? Nothing else blocking us. I'm just being difficult. Oh, we do have, there we go. Some little chunks of something there. There we go. Nice. That's locked in. And our other side put in place. And again, clean all this stuff out of here. This one should be a little easier. This one, we're lining this guy up over here. Snap that in and lock him down. Lock these down. Put our molding on here, and this guy we need to slide this right up into along this. It only fits on there one way, so pulls it tight, pulls it up, but we need to make sure we get this blade up in here as well. Align the bottom like that. Then we can lock our molding down. Same game on this side. Go down low. Make sure we drop that blade in place there. Align the bottom. And lock that in. Grab our wipers here. wipers all lined up. Get these guys on here. Let's see if I can stretch this. There we go. I'm gonna have to go to the other side to tighten it down because, like I said, I'm short. I'm short, not Shaq. Get this one tightened down here. Snap that one on. Tighten this one first since I'm standing right here. And put that cover on. And that one on. And that is replacing a windshield on a 2025 Mercedes GLC300. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.